Here we have an application problem that says, based on the 2000 census, Florida has 28 fewer electoral votes for president than California. If the total number of electoral votes for these two states is 82, find the number for each state. Okay, when we start trying to work these application problems, the first thing we have to do is to try to understand what the problem is talking about. So after I've read the problem, I kind of step back and start thinking about it a little bit. What are we talking about? We're talking about the number of votes that Florida have and the number of votes that California has. Well, these are the things that we have to try and figure out. So what I've done is I've listed out Florida equals and California equals. This is part of identifying your variables. It also will help you to keep track of all of your information. Now, as we go through this, let's read it again now. And it says Florida has 28 fewer electoral votes for president than California does. In every single one of these problems, you're going to look at this and go, if I just knew how many votes one of them had, I could figure out the other one pretty easily. It's kind of like one of them is always built on top of the other. We have to figure out which one should we find first. So when I'm reading through this problem again, I'm saying, Florida has 28 fewer electoral votes for president than California does. So if I could just figure out how many California had, then I could find Florida's pretty easily. Once you've realized that, then you know what to let be X. If I just knew how many California had, then I could figure out how many Florida has. So I'm going to let California be my unknown amount. And I know that Florida has 28 fewer than California. So whatever California turns out to be, I can take 28 away from that to find out how many Florida has. Now, I hope that you see that I'm just talking myself through this problem, trying to understand what they're talking about, what they want, how these things are all related. This is the crucial part of this. Now, they also told us in here that the total number of electoral votes for the two states is 82. So doesn't that mean that if I took the votes in Florida and added in the votes in California, that would be our total electoral votes? Absolutely. Our equation is here. Now we just have to fill in the information we already have. We have x minus 28 for Florida. Then we're going to add that to California's, which we've identified as being an X, will equal the total number of electoral votes, which they told us was 82. We now have our equation and we can continue solving. So we can combine our x's to get 2x minus 28 equals 82. When we add 28 to both sides, we get 2x equals 110. And then dividing both sides by 2, we get x equals 55. Now, once you've solved it, you're not done. Let's go back up and let's reread the problem. Based on the 2000 census, Florida has 28 fewer electoral votes for president than California. If the total number of electoral votes for these two states is 82, find the number for each state. What they're really asking us is, how many votes does Florida have and how many votes does California have? Well, we found x equals 55. That's the number of votes that Florida has, 55 votes. Or California rather. We can find the votes that Florida has by now subtracting 28 from that. So that will be 27 votes. This is our final answer. Florida 27, California 55. We always have to make sure that we go back, reread the problem, and make sure that our answer makes sense. Make sure that we don't have to go an additional step further.